Welcome again on YouTube Live and on LinkedIn Live. It's a pleasure to have you again here when we dive into game-changing strategies and the leadership journeys of some of the very successful tech executives. With us today is Feroz Merchia. Feroz, it's a pleasure to have you here. Feroz is the CIO of Santa Monica in California. Before that, he has been CTO, CIO, and he held other tech executive roles for private industry and associations. Feroz, we're thrilled to have you here to talk about your leadership journey.
Thank you, Joseph. I'm delighted to be here.
Leadership is the topic, and you're super successful in your journey. When you reflect on the different stages in your journey and you ask yourself, well, how did I make that happen? What are some of the reasons for the success that you've had? What do you think are some of the ingredients that got you to where you are?
Um, so uh, first and foremost, I am very fortunate, and I don't say this lightly because uh, oftentimes we take certain things for granted. Um, Being born in certain environment, having ability to rely on your parents and the parents' ability to give you the best education they can and all those type of things that become kind of bedrock or the foundation upon which you build. And along the way, I have had the good fortune of having teachers, mentors, and just leaders that I had the opportunity to work under, that I was able to learn from and gather information that later on became very effective and useful. And that's kind of how my journey started. Uh, it wasn't a deliberate exercise in that I want to be the top leader in this space or that
Yep.
space. It was more of me growing and learning and oftentimes uh, absorbing things without knowing that they will become the key tool or strategy in my future to leverage and do things with it. So,
Yeah. Mentors or trusted advisors are super important,
yeah.
right? And we learn so much from them. Talk to us about some of the advice that you received from your mentors. What was something that stuck with you? Something that was such good advice that it's still a go-to um, advice for you?
So I I will uh, I will sort of kind of narrow it down to now my sort of kind of professional work that I do and where I am today. Um, Very early on, one of my teachers, and I will date myself, I was learning, I think, basic programming or something at a summer camp, and the instructor basically said that the beauty of technology is that you can uh, ensure that tomorrow it's going to change, it's going to evolve, and it's going to be different, and you will be in that perpetual state of learning. And that kind of stayed with me. And that's how I have sort of kind of applied myself, whether I'm a leader or an individual contributor, recognizing that there is a lot more that I need to learn, and then go from there to become a better leader, basically. So that is one key piece that kind of stuck with me, and to this day, I try to apply that.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, so what is that takeaway in terms of its application today, right? My foundational strategy in terms of when we are solving any kind of business challenge is always that look to future, plan for the future, what it would look like year from now, 2 year from now, 3 year from now. And but at the same time, respect the ground realities, respect the current constraints that you have to work with. Nobody has ideal budget and nobody has the perfect team at all times.
Right.
So you have to respect those ground realities, but you cannot ignore what the future would look like. And that's kind of how I apply it.
Yeah. So staying curious, being open to what comes. Always also implies a little bit of always being willing to grow, right? Always being willing
Yes,
to
yes.
learn something new. And there's a bit of discomfort that comes with growing. That's the very nature of it. How do you keep yourself in that state? How do you keep yourself always ready to be a little bit uncomfortable or being ready to step into discomfort?
So uh, I think that stems from the fact that you have to have trust. Okay.
Okay.
And by that, what I mean is you have to trust your ability to endure that discomfort, your ability to trust others around you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not it's not sort of kind of unidirectional thing that you demand trust and you demand loyalty. You have to offer that, whether it's a leader and a follower situation, whether it's a
Mm.
peer situation, that trust needs to exist, and it doesn't just kind of occur without any investment. You
Mm-hmm.
have to make investment. You
Mm-hmm.
have to uh, open up and be willing to listen to other side and make sure that it's genuine. And I don't say
Yeah.
it is authentic lightly, but it's genuine. I'll give you an example of how I practice this uh, in my uh, in my leadership roles. Every organization that I have gone in a leadership capacity, whether a recent example would be I spent 5 years as CIO and CTO for City of Glendale in Arizona.
Okay.
And then I moved to Santa Monica, and I've been here about a year. Now, I am not a tenured public sector technology leader, so people don't know about my track record other than these two
Okay.
ventures that I've been part of. So when I walked into Glendale, my first role as a CIO for a city, I asked the city manager, but city manager is sort of like a CEO of an organization,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And your mayor and the council is your chairman of the board and board of
Mm-hmm.
directors. So the structure is very similar. And as they were going through the interview process, I found out from the firm that was representing Glendale in this search. I said, how many people have applied generally, who are, so just to understand who my competition was,
What's the landscape, right?
what my
Mm-hmm.
standing was.
Yep.
So I ended up being the lead candidate. They selected me. So I had my first sort of introductory meeting with the city manager outside of the interview process. And I asked him, why did you choose me? You had people who
Okay.
were tenured public sector leaders, so their ramp up time would have been maybe shorter. He said, I wanted fresh set of eyes. We want to transform how we do things, and I wanted somebody who who was coming
Yeah.
from outside to give me that fresh perspective. Yes, fine. That statement on it is fine, but he trusted his own gut feel that he needs an outside. So that trust that I'm talking about, he made
Sure.
that investment in his ability to make the right decision
Yeah.
based on whatever observation, and he
Yeah.
trusted his team that they will trust his judgment, and they brought me in. And I did the same thing from my vantage point. And I met with all my peers, so my counterpart leading other departments, and I asked them 5 questions. What are they solving for? What are their business
Okay.
priorities?
Okay.
Not what technology they run or
Right.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's my job to figure out, and whatever they run, it's my responsibility now to make sure that they have it available to them. So what are their business objectives? What is kind of timeline, and how are they going to solve that? What are some of the things that we are doing right? What
Mm-hmm.
are some of the things that we are not doing right? And where can we help? And that's it. Nothing else I asked.
Yep.
And my reason for asking was opening up and giving them opportunity to tell me, good, bad, or indifferent, how they feel about my organization, what their current state of relationship is. And from that point, it's my responsibility to establish that trust.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's how it went. And um, the- some of my discussions with mayor and the council is available on YouTube, so people can go and see uh, the advantage of developing that trust and that trusted relationship and honoring that trust takes you so far in the ability to deliver outcomes, basically.
It's a critical foundation and needs to be there. And what I also hear in your story again is that openness. It sounds like the city manager was looking for that willingness to grow, was open in looking for the right candidate for that position. Yeah.
And if I use one other example, so we talk about cybersecurity often when we talk about technology. There's a concept called zero trust architecture. So the element of trust applies everywhere. When you are talking about a pure technical manifestation of it, or when you're talking about the human-to-human interaction and human-to-system interaction, that trust has to exist. So that's
interesting analogy there. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Very cool. Let me take a look at your leadership journey from a slightly different perspective. When you think back again, to all the different stages, what stuck with you as a surprise about leadership, not technology, right? What was a situation where you felt like I had an idea how this would go and it went totally different?
There's an example, and so I won't name the organization I was part of. We went through sort of an M&A activity and acquired another entity. I moved from the acquiring entity to the acquired entity, and as somebody coming from the acquiring entity, I had visibility in terms of all the technology assets that I had available, and so my job and my objective was to encourage the new organization that I was part of to say, hey, you can leverage all these technology assets and you can reduce the impact on your budget. You can reduce the impact on amount of integration we have to do, all that. And I went through effort after effort after effort, and it did not succeed. It did not succeed, even though at a sort of a global level, at an organizational level, we were in the process of this application rationalization. And what I failed to recognize is the cultural side of things, the emotional attachment to systems that this entity had built, that they were vested in emotionally because it was their baby, it was their hard work. And it took me a while to recognize and understand that. And it took a different approach to, interact and bring them along. And that simplistic approach to say, hey, I have all these licenses that you can use without paying $1. And that was not $1 issue.
Work. Yeah.
It was
interesting.
Those systems are a manifestation of their hard work that I should have recognized.
So. And you've got to honor that somehow, right? They might be willing to change it after it's been acknowledged and maybe celebrate
exactly
whatever the right approach is. Nice example. So we talked about the past. I would like to take a look at where you are today, Feroz. And again, not a question about organization or products or anything like that. It's still about your leadership journey. When you look at where you are today, what is something that you're focusing on right now in your leadership growth, Feroz? What is an area where you feel this is something where I want to grow, where I can grow? This is something that needs my attention right now.
Yes. So I joined public sector, moved away from private sector and joined public sector because over the course of my work, I recognize that if you want to truly make a difference in people's lives, where I am today as a city CIO, that is the right place because you make an impact directly. And think of it from the perspective of an artist performing in a movie or in a TV show. right? They get the feedback from their audience once that performance is aired, either in a theater or on somebody's TV screen, and then you see the Nielsen rating and stuff like that. The working for city is more like performing in a theater on a stage with a live audience, because
Wow.
our city council,
Okay.
yeah, our city council meets every week, right? Every Tuesday we have a meeting. And if the citizens don't like what you are delivering in terms of service, you will hear. And you take any service that a full service city delivers, it cannot be delivered in its today's standards without a healthy dose of technology, right? So
Sure.
whether you talk about the water utility, so the delivery of your water, you need advanced metering system, you need your water supply system, whether you talk about public safety, right? So fire, police department, emergency management in Santa Monica. That was the welcome party I got. So give you an interesting example of
Okay.
how this reality manifests itself. So I joined Santa Monica on the 15th of July, 2024. Okay, so this is my anniversary month.
1 year anniversary for you right now.
1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
So I joined on the 15th. On the 19th of July, 2024, we had a global event, right? Everybody knows about it. I'll name it. So CrowdStrike issue occurred and the flights were down. There was a global impact. I am 4 days into my job, and I am on the call from Thursday night or Friday night all through the weekend to make sure all the systems are up. I don't know anything about this organization. I'm just in a honeymoon introductory meet and greet period. And here we have a crisis. And that little glitch impacted every system.
Yeah.
Right? We were able to recover. And I go back to the part of trusting. That's how the trust got established. My team was able to see that I was there with my limited knowledge of their environment and offering as much as I could with good intention. And they were there to see that they are up to the task to deliver and restore services, which they did. And that just one event gave us an ideal opportunity to create that trust with amongst ourselves and throughout the city.
Got it.
But that's the kind of impact we provide from a technology perspective. The ability to deliver technology that enhances the livability of any environment, whether it's a large city or a small town. And that's the reason why I'm here.
Yeah. That nice takeaway there. Nice message. I'd like to ask you one more question, Feroz, and then we'll land the plane here. Question about the future, and again, not about titles, organizations, or so. Again, about your leadership journey. Where do you think your growth will lead you in the next few years? So if we were to have this conversation in 3 years' time, and I asked you in 3 years, what have you learned as a leader over the last years? Speculate. What might this be? I know it's a murky crystal ball that we all have, but what do you think? What do you think that might be?
So the answer is very simple. It's not very sophisticated. It's very simple.
Okay.
Right. So one thing is seeking that satisfaction of delivering a solution that people are able to use and say, yes, this is what we were looking for, and that is the instant gratification that you get on any city council meeting because your solutions are delivering. Right. So that's one thing. The other thing that excites me is the opportunity to go and solve a problem that we didn't anticipate. Right. AI is an example. Right. So being able to solve those kind of interesting challenges. And this is not something that you're asking me, so I'm giving you an answer. I'll give you an example of it, right? Two interesting scenarios that I encountered when I was in Glendale, and I'm repeating them here and I'll talk more about it when we are able to deliver those. So I don't want to prematurely, but I can tell you where we delivered the desired outcome and how we delivered it, and why that's not a story about technology, it's a story about leadership and how leaders help change the way organizations think. So number one story was in 2017, the state of Arizona changed its sales tax laws. So what they did was, as a good intention, they said, small cities don't have enough resources. So what we will do is we will collect the sales tax at the state level and we will distribute it proportionately to each city's share. In concept, a very good idea. They failed to recognize that their systems were not designed for that. So, or even the city systems were not designed for that. So it created a lot of challenges and pain for a smaller city, which was short-staffed anyways, and now they have to figure out how to get their fair share, because that is a large and sizable chunk of revenue for each city, almost about 50%, if not more, in some cases. So City of Glendale was encountering that. So our finance team said, hey, can we do something to solve this problem? Because we have to go from our office to the state office to do some research to figure out who paid, who didn't pay, did we get our share or not, and all that kind of stuff. So what should have taken a few minutes for them to figure out in a system, now they have to drive an hour one way, an hour back, and do research. So a few hours of cycle time burned by precious few resources. We built a system, we tested it internally, it worked. And then what I did was I challenged my team. I said, now that we've solved this problem, other cities have this problem also, and this is unique to Arizona. And there is no commercially available solution. How about we turn this into a product? Now, mind you, my entire team was tenured city employee. They are not a Silicon Valley startup. They don't think about stock options. They don't think about, I'm going to turn into a millionaire. And there was no opportunity there. I said, so they said, what do you mean by turning into a product, right? And what do we do with that? I said, we basically think about making it a SaaS solution so that not just us using it, others can use it. So it cannot reside within our environment from a technology perspective. So we need to think about that. We need to think about a proper roadmap. So if I was buying a product, I would want to have certain things, and I want to know that this product is not one trick pony, it can do other things also in future. How do we do that? So I said, I'll guide you through that process. And they trusted me and they said, okay, we'll do that. So February 14, 2022, we launched this as a product at Arizona Government Finance Officers Conference. I did not go to the conference by design. I asked my team, my architect, my development team, and this is the same team. We didn't have an outside resource, the same team, and a finance person who was in charge of sales tax. I said, your goal is to go do the presentation to all these finance officers who are the key stakeholder who's going to buy this product, sell this concept or idea, and I want you to come back with 5 leads.
Okay.
They came back with 15. When I left, 40% of Arizona City are using that.
Very nice.
So the story is not about the solution. The story is about motivating, giving them the vision of the future, what is possible. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can look at the council proceedings where we presented the solution and some of the comments we got.
I love that,
and
because it probably also took your team a little bit out of what they normally do, right? And they had the opportunity to sell. I know you said it was not a startup, but still they had a chance to market something and to deliver the product. Nice.
So when I say this is leadership, why I say this? So I asked my team when I was there, the name of our department was Innovation and Technology.
Okay.
So I said, who came up with this name? And the answer was, I don't know. There were a bunch of meetings and then somebody offered up this name and everybody accepted it. So this is the name. So I said, this is our identity now, innovation and technology. We should have a point of view. So the way that point of view came about is every Wednesday we had a department leadership meeting. So all the department head, my peers sitting out there, we would meet. And in 22, I think, city manager said, "Hey, you know what? In every Wednesday for a series of few months, we will invite every leader to pick a topic and present something with their thoughts or whatever." This was my opportunity to pick a topic of innovation. So I presented to them our perspective, which I had talked about with my team. So what they heard me say, the leadership heard, the entire city heard.
Yep.
Innovation is not about inventing innovation, it is about figuring out a way to solve a problem with the resources that are available. With
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what innovation is. It's not the idea, it's about delivering value. And it sounds like that was there. Feroz, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
One thing that will stick to me, I really like this sort of as a reminder, when you talked about the city council meetings, I get it that they might be heated at some cases, and people might be very direct and blunt in what they're sharing there. And I wonder if there's a way to at least create this somehow for a private sector organization to get the same sense of urgency. And
we do that in some extreme cases, right? There are organizations who are very focused, laser focused on voice of the customer.
Yeah.
So those concepts are there.
That's what
it is. Sometimes the feedback is instantaneous. If you are looking at a consumer product that you can see the retail sales go up or down, so you're getting that feedback, but that feedback is at a very abstracted level.
Exactly.
It's not telling you where it is. But with the city council, if the light is out and the sensor on the light is not working, they will tell you exactly what intersection, what light.
Yeah. Much more direct. Much more direct. Yeah.
So you can't hide.
No. Feroz, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been a real pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you.
To everyone else out there, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, join us again for our next episode of the Top Innovator series. And until then, keep your brain cells active because it matters.